Hi there and welcome to this bonus episode of the Gazette's Hockey Inside Out show. I'm Stu Cowan of the Gazette and I'm joined by former Canadiens teammates and 1986 Stanley Cup champions Chris Nilan, Rick Green, and Brian Skrudland. Knuckles, I know NHL officials are one of your favorite things to talk about. Life, death, taxes, and lousy officiating in the NHL playoffs. For the certainties in life, we've seen it in this Canadiens-Tampa series. Is it ever going to get better? What can you say about what we're seeing from the officials?
Yeah. Listen, they have a difficult job. I bust their balls, I do, and they have a very difficult job. It's hard to see every little thing that goes on out there. Some crazy shit happens out there that it's easy when you go on instant replay and you look at it, it's slow motion and boom, you see the stick come up and hit Hudson in the mouth, Is that a reaction? We see a lot of guys who don't get hit with sticks making that move and, fooling the referee. So it's tough on them sometimes. I hate when they mock guys. I hate when they even things up. It might not seem like it to some people. They say they don't do that. But I got to question it. How can it get better? Yeah, God, I think there's enough with the instant replay, Like it's a fast game. Things happen so quick. They're not going to catch everything. And, they have a difficult job. But I think if you bring in something like the instant replay all the time, or you have a referee upstairs, they say, that watches stuff and corrects them as they go, I don't know if that takes away for the game. I don't know if that would be a good thing for the game. I'd rather be able to complain about them instead of getting everything right? But it's funny. My friend was down in Florida, and he stays down there in the winter, and he stays in a place called, well, I won't say the name of the place because Bettman lives in there. And apparently they saw him, and they talked to him, say, hey, Gary, what are you looking for in the playoffs this week? What are you hoping for? He said, I'm hoping we don't have any problems with the referees. And, there's always going to be rabid fan bases, the coaches, they're going to upset players, they're going to upset. It's been that way forever. And
Knuckles, do you think the judge, the referees that are upstairs, are they coming down in between periods, or are those guys watching replays, do you think, in between periods? I mean, I guess what I'm addressing is that getting even when maybe that guy did the old move but didn't get hit with the stick. Well, hey, if I'm a ref, I probably got that in the back of my mind too, right?
I wouldn't be surprised. They must come down between periods. It's like a coach, right? You come down, right. The referee and the chief comes down and says, listen, here's the deal. You missed this one. Blah, blah, that wasn't,
right.
So it very well could happen. And then all of a sudden the seed is planted. Well, we got to make up for that. Subconsciously.
Rick, Caden Gooley said earlier in the series, he says, the game sometimes is too fast for the referees. And I agree with that. And I know Ray Ferraro and Rod Brindamore have both spoken about, there's an extra official at all the playoff games. Why not have him sitting up in the press box, maybe with a headset on, that he could, after there's a bad call, he could call down to the referees and say, no, you missed it. I'm thinking of, the high stick Kapanen had there. The high stick was earlier, and then with the embellishment, it was called. Like, it should have been a high sticking for Kapanen and embellishment on the Lightning player. Do you think something like that is something Bettman and the NHL should look into, having that official up in the press box with a headset?
Since Gary Bettman says they're the best referees in the world, maybe he should consider putting another 2 guys out there, because 4 guys are missing a lot of the game. And unfortunately, it's inconsistencies that you see with the calls and the missed calls. And those guys, yes, they're under pressure. They have to be held accountable. But some of the calls that they have missed point blank, and they just completely miss it with 4 guys on the ice seeing what's going on. Nobody wants to take control and make the call. And while I'm talking about those guys, I also want to talk about embellishment. I mean, I know that they brought that ruling in, that they didn't like to see all the guys doing the diving and the rolling around the ice like Claude Lemieux used to do, to draw penalties. And I think, Crosby got hit with one of them. That eliminate any of the embellishment. I still think there's way too much of that stuff going on where guys are pretending they're getting their teeth knocked out and it's a non-contact, and the list goes on. So if you're going to embellish something, you're going to pay for it. You're going to go in the box. I think it'll eliminate a lot of those questionable calls where guys almost got hit or we think they got hit, and the referees are just very, very consistent on their calls, and it's taking, even though the last night's game was a little bit better, they're still confused on what is a penalty and what isn't, and it's unfortunate because it takes away from the whole flow of the game, and the players don't understand what's a penalty, what's not a penalty anymore because of the confusion because of the referees.
What's not good is when, they're not sure of something, they call a 5-minute penalty. And they don't call it right away when they see it. They get together and they go, did you see it? Did you see it? And then they'll go, okay, we'll call 5, so now we can look at it. That, right. It's like the goal the other night, right, that they didn't think was all the way over the line. It took 9 seconds before they called it a goal so they could look at it.
The embellishment.
Right? Yeah. It's like, they got to figure something out. I don't know how the hell they're going to do it.
Yep.
That was the Anaheim game. I know, Brian, the embellishment thing, you hope it doesn't. You never want to see it get to the point like we see in soccer with guys rolling around on the pitch all the time. You were a hard-nosed guy, an honest player. It must drive you crazy when you see that stuff.
Well, you know what, and maybe that one power play is going to win you the hockey game, Stu. So really, I mean, if you could draw a penalty, you drew a penalty. It just got to the point where when you were diving all over the place, even your teammates didn't respect you at that point in time. So it was, it happens. And I wish that that's one penalty I wish that they could look at and maybe come back or review if it was a questionable, if it was like Knuckles says, just the movement of a head, because that's all it takes today. And I pray to God we never turn into soccer, because I've seen too many of those highlights where Buddy will do a triple flip. You'd think he was in a major car crash, for God's sake. And I think he got some toe turf anyway.
Knuckles, Pat Burns, may he rest in peace. If he was alive, it would drive him crazy. I still remember that time when Claude Lemieux was on the ice and faking an injury, and the trainer went to go, and Pat grabbed him and said, "No, stay here," and made Claude get up and skate off the ice himself.
Or the front page of the Journal de Montreal with Burnsy's stick underneath his chin.
I love that. That's awesome. That's the way it should be. Get up, yeah.
Well, as you say, I mean, what Bettman said maybe in Florida is different than what he says publicly. He says the best referees in the world in the NHL, and if you don't admit there's a problem, you're probably never going to fix it. Anyway, that's it for this bonus episode. I hope you all enjoyed it. I will have a couple of more bonus episodes coming up over the next few days with these same 3 former Canadiens Stanley Cup champs, so you can look for those. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the Hockey Inside Out YouTube channel, and you can also watch Hockey Inside Out now on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.